First of all, I want you to give a round of applause for yourself for you coming to a leadership development program for yourself. Come on, can we thank God for that? The video that you just watched is a very interesting video that showcased a man that America was very fond of. The video showcased a man that won so many titles and made his country proud, only for all of it to be stripped away because of one thing: his character. A man who many would consider to be a great leader, good at motivational speaking, an athlete. And yet, in that short 4-minute video, you watch this man with a worldwide opportunity to recover the words and recover his character and his title, and he showed no ounce of remorse. And this is an individual that was once considered a leader. Tonight, we want to talk about the laws that govern leadership. Every one of you is a leader in your own right. Every one of us is. But there are things that you can do as a leader that can literally destroy everything you have ever earned. In a single moment, what this leader, Lance Armstrong, has earned, in this moment of being discovered and being exposed, everything he ever earned was gone. And so tonight we want to talk about leadership, but first I want to define leadership with two dictionaries that we are fond of. The first one is the Merriam-Webster dictionary that says that leadership is the capacity to lead. The capacity. The Cambridge dictionary says that a leader is a person in control of a group, a country, or a situation. And the problem with this definition is that they are incomplete and unmeasurable. If we define leadership as the capacity to lead, then what we would call a great leader, one with a capacity to lead, one in control of a group, a country, or a situation, if we go based on that definition, then unfortunately, Hitler will be considered a great leader. If we go based on that definition, then Satan will be considered a great leader. If all leadership is a person in control, then we have lost the very definition and qualities that make leadership. And so in defining leadership, we must first recognize that in defining leadership, we are defining qualities that make a person. When you're dealing with leadership, you are dealing with qualities, or should I say, characters that make or shape a person. And so we want to go a little bit backwards today, because when you're defining anything, you have to define it within its context. Somebody say context. If you're trying to define a leader as a human being, or leadership within the human being context, you must first recognize that that human being, we have to see what created that human being. Where did that human being come from? Because we cannot give a definition to something we don't have, something we didn't create. And so a human being is a person, it's a created being. So to properly define a person or humanity, we must first understand the procedures utilized in making that individual. You see, God created humans, and in his creation of humanity, he provided a blueprint for how leadership could be defined and measured. I want you to see this on the screen really quickly. I want to give some ground laws before we go into breaking down two laws, and we're going to get out of here, two laws, just two laws. But really quickly, I want us to understand what we are dealing with. This human being that the Cambridge Dictionary defines leadership, God is the one who actually first did it. God says, let us make man, humanity, in our image according to our likeness. They will rule the face of the sea, the birds of the sky, the livestock, the whole earth, and the creatures that crawl on the earth. So God created man in his own image. He created him in the image of God. He created them male and female. The very first thing that God desired for humanity was leadership. He created a leader with the capacity to rule over fish of the sea, birds of the sky, livestock, the whole earth. God says, I want to create a leader. And so we have to study then what is the first step that God took in creating this leader, because the step that God takes to create this leader will give us a clue on how God defined leadership. And if God's definition of leadership, being the one who created humanity, is good, then it must be the definition we also must use. Agree or disagree? All right, so let me show you something really quickly. Genesis 2, verse 7, it says, then the Lord God formed the man out of the dust of the ground and breathed the breath of life into his nostrils, and the man became. You must recognize that when God is talking about, I want to form this man in my image and my likeness, what he is dealing with is not God's image and likeness as in what he looks like. Because as a matter of fact, if that was the case, then unfortunately, we all would think of God to be a very funny looking person. He would be black, white, Hispanic, Asian, fat, tall, skinny, have all kinds of different kind of hair. But when we're dealing with the image and likeness of God, we are dealing with the qualities and the character of God. Somebody say qualities and characters. And so God, who created man to be the first leader on earth, to dominate, to lead the earth, to lead the fish, to lead the animals, input into humanity a critical element that caused that man to become a living being, to become active in his or her leadership, the breath of life, which simply means that God placed within man, humanity, his spirit, his character, his qualities. And God says, I want to make an effective leader. So for me to do that, I must first give them character. Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. That is the foundation I want to do first. Before I can get a man to lead, before I can put somebody in a position of leadership, let me first make them with character. With character. Write this down. Character is the first measurement of leadership. 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 You see, we measure leadership not by accomplishments or capacity, but we measure leadership based on character. Character. The higher your character, the higher your capacity to lead. And the lower your character, the lower your capacity to lead. And so the question then has to be, what are the laws that govern leadership? You see, a person without a good character cannot be a good leader. You cannot measure leadership by influence, by fellowship. You cannot measure a leader by who is following him or her. Because again, if we do that, then we would consider Satan to be a great leader. Because Satan has a lot of followers. If we do that, then we would consider Hitler to be a great leader, because Hitler has a lot of followers. Leadership is not measured by how many people are following you. As a matter of fact, leadership is measured by your character. It is the character that God utilizes as the measurement of leadership. The more of my image and likeness, the more your capacity to lead. And so I want to give you some laws that will govern leadership. Law number 1. Character is sustained by principles. Character is sustained by principles. You see, principles shape character. Principles, they shape it. They shape it. They form it. Principles are the foundation of character. Principles shape character, and they are the foundation of character. Your character is only as stable as your principles. You say, what do you mean, Josh? If character is the foundation of leadership and is the measuring tool that defines a leader, then we have to ask ourselves a question of how then do I have good character? And the one way you can have good character is to recognize that character itself is sustained by principles. It is the principles that you have that shape the character that you are. Principles. And principles are simply laws. Laws that are not based on feelings and emotion. Principles are laws that govern your life. Principles are laws. They govern you. They govern you. Principles are laws that govern your life. I want to give you an example of a principle. For example, anybody here ever got a ticket before? Yeah, I've had one too. And you ever get put over by the cop, and then the cop says to you, do you know you were going 118 in 60-mile radius? And you say, I was having a bad day. What would the cop say? Would they say, oh my God, you having a bad day? Oh, here's a warning. Have a wonderful day, okay? And here's a peppermint. I hope you feel better. The police officer would not have sympathy for you, not because they're evil, but they would not have sympathy because the law is not based on your feelings. The law is not based on, okay, if you're having a good day, slow down. Then if you're having a bad day, speed up. The problem for many of us is we cannot become great leaders because our character is shaped by feelings. When your character is shaped by the feelings and the emotions that you have, you cannot be an effective leader. And so the best way to be and to have a good character, step number one, you must have laws. You need laws that govern you. Things that you will do and things that you will not do. Things that you will eat and things that you will not eat. Things that you will say and things that you will not say. And it's not based on which community you are part of. It's not based on what church you go to. It's not based on which clique you're in. Your character cannot be shaped by your environment. It must be shaped by principles. If you want to be an effective leader, you must be effective in following laws that govern your actions. And so how then can we sustain leadership? Law number one, be a statue. This might seem odd. Law number one, be a statue. There was someone that I want to tell y'all about, and if you can guess it, let me see. If you can guess it, I'll give you $20. It's a person, and she's currently single. Um, she's well known, celebrity, single celebrity. I'll give you keys, I'll give you clues. And one of the things about this celebrity is every single time, never change. Every paparazzi picture you see of her always wears the same clothes. It's actually part of her clothing brand. She wears the same clothes every single time. That if she was your friend, You would think she was stinky because she's so predictable. She does the same thing every single time you see her on camera, and she wears the same clothes every single time that you know exactly what she's going to be doing, where she's going to be, and you don't even got to be following her on Instagram. She's just that predictable. Can you tell me her name? I'll tell it to you. Every one of us have seen her. Every one of us. She is one of the most known celebrities in the world. And whether you go there or not, she always does the same thing. She's a predictable person. She wears the same outfit. She got the same hat on. Whether the rain is shining or not, she's there. Whether the sun is shining or not, she's there. Whether people throw curse words at her or not, she's there. Whether people spit on her, pee on her, or poop on her, she's there. She is so predictable that you know that if you go where her location is, she'll be standing there doing the same thing. Her hands never get tired. Her legs never get weak. She does the same thing every single moment, every single day, and she never changes her mood or what she does. She has become a statue. You know, one of the things that God calls his word? He says, my statutes. He says, follow after my laws, my statutes, and my precepts. If you're going to be an effective leader, you must become like a statue. You must become one that is predictable. You see, in a world where we praise people for being unpredictable, God actually is notarized for being predictable. You're going to be an effective leader, you must become a predictable person. If people cannot guess what you do, that means you are not effective in your leadership. If people cannot guess what your actions will be, that means you're not effective in your leadership. You must become so predictable that you become a statue. In other words, they know that your laws will never change. Statues that remain the same regardless of the wind or the weather. You will always find them there. And catch this, you don't need to watch them to believe they are where they are. You never have to micromanage a statue. They're always there. You don't need a security camera to watch a statue. You believe it will be there. Why? Because that statue is predictable. So you know you are living a life of principles and conviction when you become predictable. Don't bother to ask him or her to cheat. It'll never happen. Don't invite them to this or that. They won't show up. When you become predictable with your values, catch this, they become so loud that it creates a filter to the temptations from outside influences. Do you understand predictability is one of the safest ways to not fall into temptation? When people begin to invite you to do things that are contrary to what God or what life, the laws that govern life, what they have been placed in you, that is an indication that you are not a statue. Who in here would invite Trump to your cookout? I'm not here to talk about political belief, but the individual is such an effective man that he is a statue. He is the same no matter where he goes. When he was a celebrity apprentice, he was the same man. When he was in election, running for a party race, he was the same man. And then he became president, and people are shocked that he is the same man. Why? Because he's living a life governed by laws and principles. And because you know the kind of person that he he does not have to worry about telling you who he is, because based on whatever you know of him would decide how you want to build a relationship with him, and would also decide how or what you want to invite him to, because he's a statue. Whenever you find people constantly contradicting in what they call you into, that is an indication that your values are not loud enough. Even for my people who are dating somebody, or you're working in a job or a business, if somebody would attempt you to come cheat on your spouse, you should recognize that your values are not loud. It has to be so loud that somebody would say, oh, nah, they're not going to do that. I had a brother of mine who was really a sister that we were in college, and she was a vegan at the time. She was vegan, and she was very bored about her vegan life, and nothing wrong against vegan or not. And so one day, she was vegan for probably about a month, and before you know it, she then says, oh, no, Josh, I'm a pescatarian. And then she went from pescatarian to vegetarian. And then from vegetarian, she only eat certain kind of meat. And before you know it, she was back in meat. In other words, she was not a statue. She was ever changing. And the more you are ever changing and not predictable, you cannot be placed in a level of authority and leadership. People who are unpredictable never get promotions. We don't know if you're going to come or not. We don't know whether you're going to show up early or not. We don't know whether you're going to come to church today, whether you're going to show up to work today. We don't know if you're going to call in or not. You're unpredictable. And let me tell you this, people don't tend to trust people that are unpredictable. But our society praises unpredictability. You know, we praise it. We're like, man, nobody can tell my next move. That's not a bragging right. They don't know how I'm coming. That's not a bragging right. What that says is you're inconsistent. People should always know how you're coming. What's that famous thing that everybody always say? I'm standing on. Yeah, if you're standing on business, that means you are predictable. Good leaders are predictable. Faithfield Church always makes fun of me, because they said no matter what sermon I preach about, I'm going to use one particular verse of scripture. And what's that verse? Genesis 1:26. That's predictability. That means somehow, some way, no matter whether he's preaching about the Holy Spirit, leadership, laws, or even sin or sex, he's going to find a way to drop Genesis 1. That is predictability. Can you become a predictable leader? Can you become the kind of leader that people can count on? Can you become the kind of man that somebody can count on? Can you become the kind of woman that somebody can count on? If you are not predictable, you cannot be promoted. Predictability. I want to show you a scripture that you've probably never read before. And if you never read it, this will be the first time you read it. You take a picture of this if you want to. Your predictability becomes your protection and your filter. Picture of that. Write it down. Your predictability becomes your protection. Don't tell her that. Don't tell him that. They ain't gonna go for that. That should be a good thing. Oh, that brother, he don't eat chicken. So don't even give it to him. That should be a good thing. I'll give you another example. My father, very, very hard man. Good man, but a hard man. He absolutely hates to eat out. And for as long as I've known him, he's almost 70 now, doesn't eat out nowhere. When I was in high school, we drove to Atlanta to go finish our Nigerian passports and things of that nature. My dad cooked food, bought a cooler, a heating cooler, got a van, put the rice and stew, inside the cooler for him to eat it on his way to Atlanta. He is so determined to not eat out that he literally doesn't eat at no restaurant. Whenever he would fly to Nigeria, he would ship food items uncooked just so he can keep his same diet. So he would ship it months ahead before he gets to Nigeria. So when he gets there, they cook the food the exact way he wanted it. He is so predictable that whenever he comes over our house to come visit us, I don't cook anything for him. Because I know that whatever I cook for him, he's not going to eat. He's going to say whether it's too salty, spicy. He doesn't eat any type of salt. He is so predictable that I know whenever I go to his house, I don't eat anything he cooks. Because I know whatever he cooks is not going to taste to my own taste buds. That man has become so predictable that even the church, my home church, they don't even give him food. Because they know, oh, he's going to throw it away. Don't even bother feeding him. He does not want to eat that. He became a predictable person because your predictability is based on your conviction. Are you grounded on something that can't be shaken? And I wish I was just giving you my life story, but I want to show you something that you never read before. The book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 8 says, Jesus is what? The same. Wait for it. If you had to date, for my ladies in here, if you had to date a man that told you, hey, girl, I've been the same yesterday, today, and I'll be forever, you'd be like, man, I can't stand it. You need to be able to change. You got to be able to upgrade. Yeah, but Jesus is the same. Yesterday, today, and what? That's predictability. That's character. You never have to worry about God. He simply doesn't change. That's called having character. Let me show you one more. 1 Peter 1, verse 24 and 25. It says, for all flesh is like grass, and all its glory like a flower of the grass. The grass withers, and the flower falls. But the word of the Lord, what happens to it? It endures forever. God's word doesn't change. What he says is what he does. Brothers and sisters, that is character. Let me give you one more. Law number 2. Be one person everywhere. Law number 1. Law number 2. Be one person. Do you know that when God says, be holy, for I am holy, that one of the Hebraic transliteration of that word holy means one. He says, be one, for I am one. Can you be one person? Unfortunately, for many of us, we have so many different friend groups and community groups that we are part of, and we are different in each one. Lukewarm in this group, and this group you're on fire. When you hang out with this group, you show up late to work. When you hang out with this group, you're working hard for promotion. When you don't know how to be one, you cannot become promoted as a leader. When you don't know how to be one, you cannot become trusted as a leader. Leadership necessitates that you become one person everywhere. That means who you are at home, who you are in your business, who you are at the job should be so consistent with your character. So consistent. The presentation of that character may be different, but it should always be the same character. And the best example I can give you is be like water. You see, Winnie has a water bottle in you. Why don't we all just raise it up? Look at that. We all have the same substance in different containers. If I put this water in the fridge, it changes what it looks like. The qualities become hardened and it becomes like ice, but it's still water. If I boil it and vapor and steam comes out, it changes the elements of what it looks like, but it's still water. If you're going to be an effective leader, you must be like water. You may go into a place where it says, hey, you cannot express your Christianity here. You may go into a place and they say, hey, you cannot wear I love Jesus, Jesus is my friend t-shirt here. But the thing is, can I tell you something? If your character cannot sustain itself without your religion, you don't have good character. If you need to speak in tongues to have good leadership, then you unfortunately are not a good leader. Your character and your convictions should be so grounded that whether you utter the words Jesus or not, it works everywhere. It works in the boardroom. It works in the church. It works in the courtroom. It works in the school. It works in your job. It works in the business. Your character must become like water that it can work no matter where you are. Now, you may have to talk to this person different. You may have to approach that person different, but your character is so consistent that it doesn't matter where you go, you're one person. These two laws, if you follow them effectively, you too can become the greatest leader that earth has ever known. Thank you. I want to give room for questions before we get on. This is just 35 minutes to make it short. If you can get a mic, anybody who has any questions really quickly before we go. Any questions? Just two laws. Number one is be a statue. Number two is be one everywhere. If you practice these things in your home, it will literally change the trajectory of your life. If you practice these things in your job, in your community, learn to become a statue. And one of the keys about that is you must make sure you practice it. You don't just change overnight. One of the biggest hindrances to effective change is we try to do big changes. I'm about to just switch up. Just give me 1 hour. Start small. It's the small things that lead to the big thing. Start small. What does starting small look like? Start small with being a person of your word. Start small with your yes being yes and your no being no. Start small, catch this, with being firm on your belief. Start small with being able to articulate what you are feeling and say it and be done with it. Start small. Start small. Start small with saying what you mean and meaning what you say. Start small. Marion Golden said something so interesting. He said, if somebody tells me something that I said, I probably said it because I always say what I mean. Can you become the person where your word, you understand this? One of my mentors said something to me. He said, the closest thing you can be to God is being a person of your word. Closest thing you can be. The closest resemblance to God is being a man or woman of your word. Start small with keeping your word. Start small with guarding your promises. I don't throw away the word I promise. Start small with guarding your commitment. Can I tell you something? Start small with guarding the commitment to yourself. Start small with apologizing where apology is needed. You go home tonight, study your life, and create 3 laws. Three things that no matter what you will not do. You can start off with saying, you know what? I will never go another week without reading a book. I would not, maybe you get distracted so much with social media. You know what? I'm going to set and get an accountability partner that I'm not going to be on social media for more than 15 minutes a day. If you are not getting paid on social media, you're wasting your life scrolling around aimlessly. It's a waste of time. And the AI system is so effective that it literally gives you what you desire. So there will always be new content to waste your time. And so maybe you start off with guarding your time. Giving you different examples, start small. Somebody says start small. And the key is if you can start small, then those small steps you're taking, before you know it, you've walked a mile in consistent leadership and character. You have to practice being a good leader. The way you practice being a good leader is through your practice of being a good person with a good character. And the way you practice having good character by making sure that you have principles that you live by, convictions that you have. And if you can do these effectively, then wherever position you are in, you can become the leader that you have been called to be. Any questions?
I have a question
Yes.
about law number two, where it says be the same person everywhere. I've heard people say like when you go in certain spaces, like don't give people like too much, or like they'll take advantage of it. So I guess the question is like, where would you draw the line between being the same person everywhere, but like knowing like who, I guess like who you can talk to, and like who you can like I guess like give like your full self to, because you don't give I don't feel like you should give your full self to everybody. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? So
That's a very good question. When we're talking about being the same person everywhere, I'm talking about having a character that's consistent with who you are, having a conviction that shapes you. So, for example, there are different tiers of relationship. You can have a friend that you care about so much, and that friend could be somebody who you like and you love, and you tell that friend that you love them. But then you also have a family member that you love, and you both use the words love, but that family gets a different side of you. The key is if you have a principle of not lying, you're not going to lie to your friend and you're not going to lie to your family. Now, how you love them or how you express your love for them can be very different. You can love one person. For example, you have a woman that you're betrothed to. And so the way you may love her may be different than the way you would love some other woman. But the key is the character qualities that shape you. Whether it's the character of showing up on time, saying, I'm going to do this and doing that, that character should be equal to everybody. So your character should never change based on the person. But the character, the qualities, the convictions that shape you, that should be the same. But you're not going to go around kissing every girl. That makes sense?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When we talk about laws and principles for ourselves, would you classify that the same thing as setting boundaries?
Yes and no. Setting boundaries is protecting yourself. Setting laws is leveraging yourself. All right? So when you're setting boundaries, you're saying these are things that boundaries are also expandable to how you relate to others. Maybe I'm not going to talk to you after 9 p.m. Maybe I'm not going to let you call my phone after 10. Maybe I'm not going to let you play me because you keep borrowing money you don't pay back. That's a boundary. But a law is this is what I do. Boundaries change based on the people. You can have a boundary for him, but it's not the same boundary for her. So it's like, I'm going to let you come close, but no. You can't come close. A law is not determined on the person. That's just foundational. So boundaries are very critical. They're very needed. But laws are not governed by the person at all. Who you are is who you are. Jesus does not look at you and say, I ain't going to lie. You're black, so I'm going to die for you. But hey, sis, you're white. I don't know. Come another day. The Bible says he loved the world so much that he gave up his only begotten son. Why? Because that was a law. That's a principle. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And he's the same God that would look at a person who is literally worthy of dying at a cross and say, you're going to be in my father's house today. And he's also the same God that we see a woman caught in the very act of adultery say, where those thy accusers? He does not change based on person. He's the same God that would tell Lazarus, rise up, and the same God that would tell Mary, Mary, why are you tripping? Just because your brother died, where you kept him? He's the same consistent no matter what. And so whenever you're dealing with that, you can set boundaries, which are very needed, but boundaries are also based on relationship. Laws are laws. Any questions? All right. It's 7:59. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming tonight. One of the key things that I really love about leadership is leadership literally determines your elevation. Leadership is the very key principle that could change your very life. And one of my goals is really to help people become the very leader that God has called them to be. That is one of my missions in life. It is my main sole purpose is to develop leaders to literally thrive the very purpose God has had for them. Some of you who may not know, I have a master's in strategic leadership. I am currently on my doctorate in leadership. And so my goal is to help develop leaders, to help people become effective in leadership and be well rounded. One of the things that I have, I only bought about 5 copies today, but this book right here, it is a literal workbook, coaching, training, development in one. I have people all the time who call and they say, hey, I want you to mentor me. I want you to coach me. I want you to do those things. And I typically don't do it to church members. Reason why I don't do it to church members is because things like that get misconstrued in church. Many times you get into a mix-up. Somebody think you're trying to take advantage of them. And sometimes people don't know how to pay. And they tell you things like, well, I can't pay this month or that month. Oh, my money got, we're not doing that with church. And so one of the things I created for people who are seeking private one-on-one mentorship. I do mentorship. I do leadership coaching. I do that more so for executives. That's what I do in my full time. But one of the things I want to do is to be able to create a book where you can get one-on-one coaching, one-on-one leadership. And this book is so crazy because it's one of its kind. And in this book, you see each writing is there. Each book has a video all within it. Each book, each section, each chapter has a little video and essays and purpose points, all different things that will help you in a 6 week time to become the leader you have to be. This is literally purpose driven leadership, a book, a coaching, a cohort, all in one. And I simply always offer that to people who are looking for one-on-one mentorship, who are saying, hey, I want to grow my leadership. All of these books is completed with full completed videos. And each week you get 2 videos in becoming the kind of leader you ought to be. And so this is what I do personally for people who are saying, hey, I hear you, I get this is cool, but I want one-on-one mentorship. I want one-on-one personalization. I want somebody to walk with me one-on-one to discover my purpose. If that's the kind of thing you want, I do have that offer, but that offer is more private, is more personal, and it's something that I do for people who are in leadership roles, not people who are just trying to figure it out. I'm also work with clients who are in a leadership role. They have to lead other people, and they want better help in growing as a leader. And so that's why we do this. This is totally free. We're not, the screens are turned off. We're not asking you to give no money. We're not asking you to pay nothing. All we're asking for you to do is to go home, implement these principles, implement these laws, and recognize that we meet here every third Wednesdays for leadership development, for leadership training, and our goal is to serve you, to help you become the leader that you are supposed to be. There are many resources available online. This is uh, my 27th book that I've published. So there are many books online that I've written on leadership, on different things, relationship, conflict management. And so please go check those things out, those resources. They can answer a lot of questions that you may have. And I've really enjoyed my time with you. It's been 45 minutes and we've had a good time. And I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless y'all. Peace out.